Welcome, Badass Manifester. I am so glad you are here. I'm your host and head coach, Ashley Gordon, master mindset and manifestation biz expert, founder of the quantum coaching certification, and multiple six-figure entrepreneur obsessed with empowering you to create quantum leaps in your energy, your life, and your business. This is the show to help you make magic your everyday normal, where the ripple effect is real and the guest experts are world class. My mission is to power your conscious and subconscious mind with manifestation teachings, business tools, and coaching techniques to put your potential into action. Consider this your weekly up level. Are you ready for quantum transformation? Let's do this. Hello, Badass Manifester. I am so excited that you're here. This episode is our $1 million launch debrief. And I can't even believe that those words are coming on my mouth. Honestly, I can, but I can't. It is so exciting. It's so invigorating. The impact of this is just beyond my wildest dreams. And it is just the beginning. But I will say, I've been praying for a quantum leap. In the past, we have had cohorts ranging from sizes 30 to 50. And so this is by far the largest cohort we've ever had. And the universe delivered. And there's so much inside of this episode because I didn't just record it on my own. I recorded it with my whole team. So you get to hear from all of our different perspectives, how we really elevated together, regulated together, how we set goals together. And honestly, even being able to say this just blows my mind because I remember being a very new entrepreneur, seeing other people with teams and being so confused, like, oh my gosh, wow, they have a team. They have people that actually have goals with them in their business and like they want their business to succeed. And like it blows my mind to even say any of this. I don't take this lightly. I am so humbled by this experience. I am so grateful and I am so ready to serve these students and to help make them world-class quantum coaches because this is the next generation of coaches that are going to go out and make such a huge impact in the world. And I'm so proud of that. And that is my mission in life. Like, that is why I'm here. I'm here to serve the collective. And this is the vehicle in which I get to do it. And I'm so honored. So if you've been following me for any length of time, I don't really talk about money that much. It's not really part of my brand because we are a coaching certification, yet I do think it's important to be open and transparent and share about what it's like to receive large amounts for your work in the world, because that is part of being a coach. And you have to get flat with that if you are becoming a coach or want to be in this field or industry or have anything that you offer to the world, whether it's coaching or not, where you are receiving for your work in the world. And I think it's an important topic. And so what I wanted to do is I put out a question about this episode, a question box on my Instagram, and there was so many questions that came through, and it gave me the idea that I actually want to host a one-off masterclass, something I never do, ever do, to really debrief and go even deeper. Because in this podcast episode with my team, we're talking for like 40 minutes. And there's so much more details that I can share to help you with either launching, to help you with growing your business, to help you with your confidence, to help you hold more money and hold more clients and really expand your capacity to be able to hold more, because I do think that was a huge part of my journey. And so I would love to invite you, if you want to learn more behind the scenes here, if you want to learn about this $1 million launch, I'm doing the $1 million launch masterclass. It's behind the scenes of our strategy, the energetics, and I'm going to do a Q&A. So you can bring any questions you have. I will answer them live on the spot. I see it being like a 90-minute masterclass on Zoom. So it'll be very intimate. We'll be able to be face-to-face together. And I'm going to launch it at $97. So I literally never do anything like this, but I feel really called because I have really elevated in so many ways that I want to share with you that I think are so, so valuable. And this podcast will give you a taste of what that masterclass is going to be like. And there will be so much more in the masterclass. So if you want to join the masterclass, I highly recommend getting your spot right now. The link is in the show notes, and the link is also in my Instagram bio. The investment of the masterclass will be going up to $150 on Friday, which is, I will tell you, on February 2nd. So on February 2nd, the price goes up to $150. So with that being said, get your ticket now. And without further ado, I'm so excited for you to listen to this episode. I can't even believe it. Let's do this. Okay, welcome, Badass Manifestors. I'm so excited for today's episode. I got Team QCC in the house. We've never done an episode like this. I have my team here, and we're going to intro everyone in just a moment. But I thought it would be really fun to kind of debrief together the most recent launch of the Quantum Coaching Academy. We enrolled over 100 students. It's the most we've ever enrolled. It's the biggest launch we've ever had. And I definitely did not do it alone. It was a team effort. And I just think it's really important to kind of know the inner workings of what goes on behind the scenes and to be of service to you in that way, because I feel like it could be really mystifying on the front end to be like, oh my God, she just had $1 million launch. And there's so much that goes into making that happen. So I want to kind of answer some questions that we've received and kind of interview the team a little bit to share what their experience has been like as we have like really quantum leaped together. And we'll have some fun. I'm excited. So who wants to introduce themselves first?
I'll go first just because
Okay.
I feel like that's what the vibe I'm getting is. I
Got to
should
break the
go
ice.
first.
Jenna's got to break the
Um,
ice.
that's right. So I'm Jenna Teague. I am the president and director of operations and educations for Team Quantum Coach Co. And yeah, I've been with the team since 2018, 2019. So this was my eighth launch with the team. So I've been there from the start, and this was a very different experience than any other launch we had. And I can't wait to get into it.
Yeah. Hi, Jenna. Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm going to call
I'm
on Bella.
handing it over to Bella.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Bella Falcon. I am the program director for the Quantum Coaching Academy. I have been part of Team QCC, QCA, all the things since 2021. And I'm also a graduate of the program back in November of 2021. So this probably is the most expansive launch to date. I've been in the program director role probably 3 cohorts before this. And this is just like really, really exciting to just get into it and dive right in to all the magical things and scenes behind the scenes with you all.
I was going to say, when you introduce yourself, like choose one word to describe the launch. So you said expansive. Jenna, what would be your word?
Oh my goodness. It's a hyphenated word, but I'm going to go with it. Long awaited.
Ooh,
We have been planning for this 100+ launch for many cohorts.
yes. Yes, we have. All right. Tessa girl.
Hey, hey, I'm Tessa Schwal. I have been with Team QCC since April 2022, almost 2 years. And I am the graphic designer and all things branding for the team and all of the programs and everything that falls under it. So it was absolutely incredible to be a part of this recent launch. And yeah, I guess I have 2 words. Is that okay?
Yeah.
I honestly think it was like nothing short of just magical the way everything happened. And kind of along the lines of what Jenna shared, it was very divinely timed. Like it was just, I felt like everything that we had all been working so hard for years, like it really was kind of for this point. And it's gonna make me cry, but it
Oh
was
my God.
it was pretty magical. Yeah.
Love you. Thank you. Chelsea.
Hello, hello. I am Chelsea Holden, the newest team member. I am the assistant program director for the Quantum Coaching Academy, and I help out on the back-end support for QCC. So I recently came onto the team back in December of 2023, and I have got a unique perspective of the launch because I saw it just from a consumer standpoint, really just following along the socials and seeing everything happening, seeing the Dream Coach Masterclass getting promoted and everything, and just loving the vibes. So my word for it really is just inspiring. Like from my perspective, it's just been really inspiring. And now get to see all of the inner workings and the behind the scenes and everything that goes into a launch and shifting things and stretching the capacity. It is really illuminating and pretty freaking powerful.
Thank you, Chelsea. I have the best team in the whole universe. I'm so grateful for all of you and those of you that are not on this podcast as well. I guess my word would be manifestation. Manifested it. Yeah, for sure. And so let's kind of kick off with what wasn't working before this launch and what was working before this launch. Basically, the way that we would run the launches before was we would do a 3 to 5 day event in my Facebook group called Big Coach Energy. And we've launched that way from the beginning. So the very first launch we ever had was just a waitlist launch. We didn't even do a launch promotion at all, really. And that sold out the program, which was amazing. It was like a miracle and magical and kind of the same feeling that I felt with this launch. And then from the second to the seventh launch, it was the same launch every single time. And so, what does that mean? Let's give them like the really behind the scenes. Jenna, you can kind of vouch for this. We've used the same what every single time.
Same email,
Yeah.
same launch event with the same presentations, with the same information, with the
Yep.
same slides,
Yes.
same socials, same ads.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean, just
little
minor
tweaks, but
tweaks.
mostly the
Right.
same. Yeah.
Minor tweaks, but mostly the same. And if you're someone who is like constantly launching different things and you're writing all these new emails and you're like writing all like that's just not my style. So for me, it worked really well with my energy to just have the same thing over and over again. And in my mind, it was like, well, why change what works? I don't know. How did you all feel with doing the same exact launch over and over again?
I mean, it was definitely working
Hmm.
until it wasn't, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think we got into a really good groove,
Hmm.
since we knew what the emails were, we knew the cadence that the emails would go out. We had had many successful launches, many successful ads campaigns. Like, we were really honing in on what worked best.
Hmm.
And it worked until it didn't. When we finally realized that, like, wait a minute, this live launch event that is supposed to generate so much energy, so much participation, so much buzz
Wasn't.
isn't actually attracting that many people attending live.
Right.
And that's when you were like, why are we doing this? Like,
Yeah.
why are more people not here?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I would say like the way that we initially learned how to launch, that I learned how to launch was through, I just want to give a shout out to Taylor Slango's program, 5 Figure Flow. It's an amazing launch program. She gives you everything you need to be successful at launching. And that's kind of how we set up our launch process for all those rinse and repeat launches. And as Jenna said, like this last launch, we had, I think, over 1,500 people join the free event. And when you're going live, when I was going live and I was having 6 to 10 people show up live, I was really upset. I was like pissed. I'm like, this is not, something's not working, something's not right. And the way that we would always do it was they would have to join the Facebook group, and that's where I would host the live event. And we had gone back and forth like so many times on, should we have it in the Facebook group? Should we not have it in the Facebook group? Should we make a separate Facebook group for the launch? Should we not? Should I have it on Zoom? What was our thing about Zoom? Why we didn't want to have it on Zoom? I can't remember.
I think it was about the participation,
Yeah.
like people being able to interact with one another and participate and do the homework and that sort of thing.
Yeah. And we also usually sent Facebook messages to anyone that participated. Bella, do you want to speak to that strategy that we had for a long time?
Yes, we did personalize our messages to every single participant that joined BCE Live. We have like a massive tracking of like every registrant and also those that participated live. And yeah, we had like amazing bonuses, discount offers towards the end of the Big Coach Energy Live event. And yeah, it was pretty interesting that we had like very little responses as to like the conversion to application, if that makes sense.
You mean from the Facebook messages?
Yes, from the
Yeah.
Facebook.
So Bella would literally go in and message every single person that would join the event that participated and invite them to apply. And so if you're launching, I highly recommend that strategy, especially if you have a smaller launch event, any size launch event. But if it is like manageable to message everyone, to thank them for coming, to invite them to your program, you have nothing to lose. I think that people lose that piece. And it did actually work over, like there were people that did convert from that. It wasn't like super high converting, like you were saying, but it did work at some points. How did it feel not to do that this round?
Freeing, I think
Yeah.
is the word. It freed up so much space also to just be creative in this, this recent launch, to be able to just kind of like take a step back. It's almost like this lean in motion that I'm doing, like just like not relaxing. It wasn't it wasn't totally relaxing on the back end, and yet it also just left space for
Mhm.
us to just like let it sink in, like this quantum leap that was happening in real time for all of us.
Yeah, for sure. For me, it was like not messaging everybody. It kind of felt like a new level in a way where I could almost relax a little bit more and trust the process a little bit more and not hold on so tight to like depending on the people that we message, they might be the ones that, apply and enroll. So it was a little bit of a different energy for me.
It's a more abundant energy, I think,
Yes, definitely.
because the messaging of each and every person, like it can sometimes feel like a chasing energy and like almost like a little bit of a desperation energy, like I have to message everyone and I have to really seek them out to convince them to like apply.
Yeah.
Whereas in this instance, we didn't have to convince anyone to apply. Like the convincing was attending the Dream Coach webinar,
Yeah.
and we were just inundated with
Mhm.
applications like
Yeah.
instantly from that.
Chelsea, what you have a question for me?
I do. Yeah, I'm so curious, like hearing all of this, and how, and maybe you'll get here, but like how everything was working until it didn't work, as Jenna was saying. And I'm so curious from your perspective, Ash, like what do you think that shift was? What do you think that shift or the energy, like what changed to really make it not work, quote unquote?
Mm, got you. I a couple things. One, I felt like we were at a plateau for a while. We were kind of having the same launches over and over again. So to me, it was almost like, okay, keep doing the same thing, get the same results. Because I do feel like launch 6 and 7 were almost very identical. Like they were almost identical, I would say, in just like the attendance rate for the live events. Maybe there was a little bit more people that were attending live for 6. And then for this one, I don't know if I'm going off like your question, but for this one, it was kind of like, okay, I want to do something just completely different. I want to throw away this old model that did work and still was working. Listen, we enrolled 36 students for the 7th cohort, but the 8th cohort, we enrolled over 100 students and enrolled people for July. So I don't even know. I kind of, someone else jump in.
I don't know if this is exactly your question, Chelsea, but I think the low live attendance was the breaking point for Ash, just to, especially since over the course of the first 7 launches, or the launches 2 through 7, we had expanded the 3-day live event into a 5-day live event. So it was a full week of at least an hour every day of Ashley going live and putting so much energy out there and so much love and attention to only have a few people there. I feel like, Ash, correct me if I'm
Yeah.
wrong, that was kind of your breaking point of like,
Thank you
I
for
can't do this.
articulating that. Thank you for articulating what, yes, exactly that. And the second part to that, I know Tessa, you want to say something, is we were also spending twice as much in Facebook ads. So we were spending twice as much in Facebook ads, bringing in way more leads, way more people into the free event, and they just weren't attending. So that was extremely frustrating. Tessa.
Yeah, and also I remember you kind of bringing it to the team and talking about how, you want to be able to scale. We want to build QCA. We want to expand, and I know that you were feeling very like limited, maybe restricted in that model. And you were very much ready to just jump in and try something new, especially something that had shown to produce and convert and, achieve such high results as, these webinar softwares. So
Yeah, totally.
And I will say, you also studied on the back end so many different avenues or channels, I would say, to really get us to that scale. You were a student first before we ever even did this Become the Dream Coach Masterclass
Thank you.
launch.
I have another question too. Like, it just makes me so curious how, because I heard you say earlier that like, it was working. It did work. You enrolled what did you say, 36 students into the 7th cohort, right? So how did it feel for each of you to like, okay, we're throwing this away. Like, it's
Oh, yeah,
working.
that's
We're
a good
throwing this
question.
away. We're taking a big leap of faith. Yes, you did become the student. You were like studying all the things, and also like, holy shift, like that's major. That is so major to throw away something that's working to try something new, and you have no freaking idea if it's going to take off or not.
Good question. I'll start, and then I'm curious what Jenna, I forget what your initial reaction was, Jenna, when I presented the new way of doing it, because sometimes Jenna has resistance to my new ideas, and then she comes around, she's like, that was a good idea. I honestly, I was scared to throw it away, but I just knew that it was gonna work. I just knew it.
Yeah, you had total faith from the start, as you do in most of your ideas. You feel so much conviction about them. I don't remember what my initial reaction was. If anyone else does, please tell me. I feel like it was not as much of me having resistance as I have to other things, because I definitely agreed with you that like the live attendance rate was a big problem, and it was not the vibe that we wanted to be in.
No.
And I think, interestingly, just one small comment on that is like, I think it's important to note that when we first launched this program, it was like the very beginning of the pandemic. It was like almost like lockdown time.
Yeah.
And I think the first few times that we used that live event strategy, people were actually like home more.
That's very
People
true.
were working from home more, and the world was kind of closed.
They were on
And
Facebook
so,
more.
yes, yeah. So I
Yeah.
think, and maybe this is hindsight giving me credit for something I wasn't thinking in the moment, but I think I at least got like, oh, we're in a different time. And like
Yeah.
people aren't able to come to this and that's not working.
Hmm.
But as always, you led the way.
And I feel like when we started working on the webinar together, we were like really like, oh my God, this is so good. This is so fresh. We were just really vibing in the content creation and the collaboration of it. And we were just like, oh my gosh, this is going to be amazing. Like we just knew it. I feel like that's kind of when we were like all in on that.
Yes. And I think a lot of that came down to your vision, not only for the whole relaunch, new strategy, but also for the visuals
Hmm.
and like the aesthetic. And then when Tessa came in and you
Yeah.
guys collabed with like, the photo shoot and the video shoot and like Tessa started putting the branding on the slides, then we were like, oh,
Oh,
oh my God.
yeah. Yeah. Okay, back to Chelsea's question. Like, what was your initial reaction, Bella and Tessa, when we were like, we're changing everything? Because it's also a ton of work on Bella and Tessa when we do this. Like, new everything, new everything. How did that like hit you both?
I'm gonna be totally honest in my response. I freaked the shit out and I'm fussed only because it's totally brand new. And this is the amazing part of being in a world-class company like Quantum Coach Co. because to this day, I am still being put to my edges. And, as much as Ashley is leading the way in creating this beautiful vision, it's also allowing us to energetically buy into the vision. And when she brought into, Jenna and Ashley brought the idea of Become the Dream Coach Masterclass, it's like literally putting us in the vision of who we were before, I'll speak from my experience, like before I started QCA. And that was the seed being planted and it was just being watered week after week in so many meetings. And it just grew into this amazing, amazing launch that we just had.
Thanks for keeping it 100. Tess, what was your initial reaction?
Yeah. Just knowing like and like feeling the potential of QCA and what we're all doing here every day and had been like building towards. I was honestly so excited.
I knew you were
And
going to say that. I knew you were going to say you were excited.
I had so much faith in it. And I know there was like some resistance and hesitation just around, you know, new workflow and, breaking down all the systems that had been built and had been working because we had to start fresh. Like there was no bringing anything over. It really was fully rebuilding and it was worth it. And it was so cool to see that. Yeah. And from just like being the designer and from a design standpoint, I was so ready for it too. I I think if you guys remember for launch 7, I I really wanted to rebrand visually Big Coach Energy and like bring in some more of like the vibe that, Ashley was looking to achieve with the brand and everything. So that was really fun to explore. But then, being presented with this dream coach vision board, like this idea was just beautiful from the start. And it was so fun to explore and collaborate with you too, Ashley, and like help you bring
We
that
had
to life.
fun. We
Yeah.
had a good time. And it's funny because Tessa, like I was pregnant and then I had a baby and Tessa was working with the same pictures from, before I got pregnant. And I was like, oh my God, if I have to see myself in this red jacket one more freaking time, I'm going to lose my mind. And I don't know how you dealt with that. So thank you.
You're welcome. It was fun. I got creative. I had to like mix it up, but yeah, it
Yeah,
was really cool. Yeah, to
you
have some
did. It
new.
was so good. I mean,
Yeah.
here's the thing. We literally broke all the launch rules that you could break. And what I mean by that is they say when you launch, they say, all the business coaches of the world, when you launch, you shouldn't change everything. because then you won't know what worked. You should just change one thing or two things so that you know what actually makes a difference in your launch. And we said, F that. We're changing literally everything. We got rid of the emails. We hired a copywriter. We got all new emails, new Facebook ads, complete new branding, new launch event, webinar style, masterclass style. It is such a good training. I've really studied it for a while, like Bella was saying. And that came out of a suggestion from the mastermind that I was in. And it's really funny because when I was at my mastermind, Natalie Ellis, she's the founder of Boss Babe, she does the same kind of style launch. She has a webinar and it does really well. And she's had the same webinar for a long time. And she told me that she watched my webinar. She watched the Dream Coach Masterclass. And she's like, I learned a lot from watching you lead the Dream Coach Masterclass. And I was like blown away. And then we were all masterminding and she kind of like put me on the spot and people were asking about funnels and masterclasses and webinars. And she was like, well, Ashley, why don't you share with us? And I was like, okay, I'm in this room with these insanely high level people. And it kind of hit me like, oh, actually, I am one of those high level people. So there's a lot of upgrades that have happened with this launch too. And we can kind of talk about the energetic side.
I would just like to add, I think it's really beautiful to hear everybody talk about how Ashley, you held the vision and then Jenna got on board. And then despite the hesitation, or resistance because everyone was meeting their edges, everybody bought into it. And I think that just speaks volumes to you as a leader, Ashley, like holding true to the vision that's inside of you and really like bringing that to pass, especially when we're talking about manifestation, like that's like the number one thing we hear, right? Like you have the vision and you take the aligned action. And even when it's scary, even when you might meet that resistance, you have to do what's on your heart to keep it moving forward. So I just, want to reflect that back to everybody. Again, just being new coming into it, it is so fucking powerful to witness and to hear these stories because I think for a lot of business owners or entrepreneurs or whatever the case may be, that's the one piece like we can get so bogged down with is like, shit, like I'm talking to this person and they're, maybe they don't see the vision either. And also too, just to add, and I'll be done here, is like, I've held on to this belief, like we're not meant to convince everybody of our dreams and our visions. Like it's for us to hold and to bring forth. So yeah, I just think it's really, really beautiful.
Thank you for that reflection. I really appreciate it. I feel like we all, yes, I hold the vision and I feel like we all hold it together, like I don't feel like I hold it alone. And I feel really lucky for that because I mean, in the beginning of my business, like I knew I wanted to like go places and I knew I wanted to create an impact. And I would have loved to have a team in the beginning that like that I have now. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I feel like it was a dream come true having Jenna come on who believed in me, believed in my vision, and then helps me enroll the rest of the team in the vision. And I can't recommend that enough if you're listening and you're like, wow, how do you have a team that cares so much about the vision and all of that? I don't know what the answer is, but I'm happy to like, what do you all think of the answer is? Like, what would be your advice to someone who wants to have their team enrolled in the vision?
I think it's being collaborative, which you definitely are, and allowing each team member to contribute, even if it's outside of their zone of genius. Like you're always open to everyone on the team contributing, even if it's ways that aren't specifically related to their role on the team. And you really let us like flex our muscles and like be involved in the process. And like, yes, you lead the process and everyone has a voice. And that creates a lot of investment, I think, and a lot of empowerment for the team.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will also double down on just the space, the inclusive space that we have in the team. And like the fact that we're all on this stage, like the picture in my mind's eye literally is that we don't have like backup singers, like we're all lead singers in this role in this organization, and we do have a voice, like a creative voice, that Ashley and Jenna are so open to just collaborating and communicating that with each specific team member. And that's why we're able to just, operate at our best selves, because it's more than just the vision. It's also how we empower the strengths and, create this space where we're also teaching each other different ways of how to mold certain gifts that maybe we're not naturally good at, and yet it kind of like develops over time.
I I really think what has made this experience being on this team like so special for me personally is just that you as a leader, you're so open and welcoming of new ideas and innovation, even if it looks totally different than what's already happening or what's already working. Like, and I think that that's how I was able to buy in so easily to the vision for this new launch in the master class, because like I just knew that if you thought that that was a great idea, that it's got to be gold, because you're just so open to growth no matter how scary it is. And I think that that's so important in a leader, and yeah, just guiding your team to believe in what you're doing. Sorry.
Oh my God, we're crying. I love you. Thank you.
Yeah, Tessa, I just want to piggyback on that and say, like, Ashley, you really are committed to growth, not just growth of QCA, but your own personal growth, our growth as members of the team. And I know you had to meet a lot of edges in this process. As fun as it was, as exciting as it was, it kind of opened you up for feedback in a new
Mhm.
way. And you had to make big decisions as this launch was evolving, it really required you to try to trust your gut. And I just want to hear from you, what were your biggest growth moments as a leader?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think you really said it. The biggest thing is there's a part of me that stayed happy and complacent in the plateau for so long because I had this fear of, well, if we get bigger, then I can't I can't make everybody happy, or everybody won't be happy. And I don't want to have a situation where someone's unhappy or they have a bad experience or whatever. And this up level has really required me to get flat with that. Like, not everybody has to have the best experience ever, even though that is always our intention. And I really do have to trust the process, right? Trust the process of believing in myself, of trusting in myself, trusting in the decisions that I'm making moment by moment. And yeah, there were a lot of decisions that I had to make along the way. I think that self-doubt is one of my like big dicks, which we call in QCA the deepest inner critic. It's like that part of me that is just questioning, like, are you making the right decision? Is this really what you should be doing? Is this the direction you should go? And questioning, just like the monkey mind, just questioning. And I had a lot of that come up around just the program itself. Like, are we really ready to hold this many people? Can we really do this? Are we really going to be able to pull this off? There's so many logistics that go on behind the scenes that people have no idea about. And I was really concerned about a lot of those logistical pieces. So for me, I feel like the biggest growing pain was, one, just believing and trusting in the decisions that I was making moment by moment, and coming back to feeling it in my body and feeling grounded and feeling certain. And then two, I noticed that I kept taking myself out of enjoying the ride. I kept taking myself out of the celebrations because I was scared. I was scared. I was actually future tripping, like thinking, what if we can't pull off another launch like this again? And what if not everybody has an amazing experience? And what if we don't find enough mentor coaches? And what if we can't figure out the Zoom and the breakout rooms? And what if the manual doesn't get finished in time? And I had all of these things going on where it was just taking me right out of celebration. Like I couldn't take it in as it was all happening because I was taking myself out. I was sabotaging myself. And yeah, I'm just going to pause there. Did I answer your question?
100%. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
After Christmas, I got really sick. And my mom came up to me when I was like laying in bed, and then she got really sick, which was horrible. But she came up to me and she was like massaging my head. And she was like, Ashley, you deserve this. You're worthy of this. And she was like putting peppermint oil all over my all over my like neck and my head. And I'm gonna cry. And she was just like, what are you doing? Why are you making yourself sick? You're worthy of everything that you're creating. And she's kind of always that reminder for me to bring me back of like, I am worthy of this. And she was just like, you deserve this. You worked so hard for this. Like, stop. I don't know what she was saying stop to, but just all my doubt, I guess. Stop doubting yourself. And she comes in as like this voice of reason, and she's just like, you are it, girl. Like, stop. That's when I started to let it all drop in. And I remember just like this last couple week when I was going away on the CEO Mama retreat, they were like, what is your intention for being here? And I literally said, I just want to ground into everything that just happened. Because I've just been like floating away, and my anxiety was like at an all-time high, and I was just like floating in space, not really grounding into this creation.
I want to say something about that because what I keep hearing is like you were absolutely hitting your upper limit, like all throughout it, just hitting that upper limit and having to break through it. And I am just curious if you have some tangible tips for the listeners on when we hit that upper limit, when we're stretching our capacity, like what are some things that we can do? Because I think this is so relatable for everybody, you know?
We all had to stretch our capacity for this launch. And I feel like you probably have some good tips on this. And I'm going to think of mine while you talk.
Yeah, it's so interesting. And thank you, Ash, for like just sharing everything that you said. And it's for me, it's so interesting because it's such an energetic mirror of what I was experiencing as the program director. And just as much as Ashley was in the process of preparation, everyone on the team in the process of preparation of welcoming all these beautiful souls that we were calling in, I had to personally also check myself and be like, okay, Bells, are you good? Nervous system wise. And I think just returning back to the breath was one thing that was really a consistent regulation tool for myself, and really visualizing, just seeing it done, acting as if we already had the 100 students, even if we were just at 50-75% capacity of what we were, currently at during that time. And I just saw it 100 students. We all were like just counting the days until it actually manifested and happened. And we were all just celebrating and crying alongside that huge accomplishment for the team.
That's so well said, Bella. And I think it points out something that I think you were just speaking to too, Ash, when you were talking about your mom. Like, I think one of the tips that I would share is rely on the people around you. Even if you're a solopreneur and you don't have a team, you probably have a mom or a partner or a friend or a biz bestie who believes in you 1,000%, even when you don't. And I think we all had to borrow from each other over this launch. Like there were some times that like I was freaking out and Ashley and Bella would be like, we're good. Like, no, we're good. It's all good. And then sometimes they would be freaking out, like, how are we going to get enough mentor coaches? And I would be like, oh, that's not a problem. I'm like, that's going to be fine. That's going to be so easy. And it really is just about like borrowing support and belief and confidence from the people around you when yours slip, because that's how you get through it, I think.
So good. Yeah, so many times I'm like, Jenna, I'm freaking out. You're like, I'm cool. I'm chill. I'm like, okay, great. I'm gonna borrow that resource right now because I don't feel chill.
Yeah, and
Yes.
we borrow each other's freak out, and then someone else would be cool, calm, and collected, and it's all gonna be all is well. That was a phrase that I always had to bring to my awareness, my conscious awareness. All is well, all is well. It's all gonna be well.
And I think for me personally, it was just a constant mindfulness practice. I was just constantly being mindful of, okay, right now I'm doing this doubt. Okay, so what do I need instead? And I would focus on something else or take a deep breath or try and meditate or take a bath or, just self-care and just being aware of the thoughts and the feelings that I was having because I was very aware of it the whole time. Now it feels like, okay, it's regulated. I was super dysregulated and now it feels regulated. Can you all tell that it feels more regulated in my system? Okay.
I think it's interesting because I think we're all kind of on the verge of regulation at this point. Like I can speak for myself. When we were first starting out, my nervous system was really on a freak out, and then now it's really coming to a balance of sorts, and this is the new normal and the new expectation of what's to come for the future rounds of the Quantum Coaching Academy.
I was literally just going to say that before. I was going to say I feel really neutral about it now and it's the new norm. Yeah.
I feel like we co-regulated, like partners, like parents and children. We just co-regulated our shit together, and now we're good.
I also think after the first call and working out the kinks, like it didn't go perfectly. My fear came true, right? Like not everybody was happy on that first call because they couldn't get into the Zoom room because we didn't think to upgrade the account. None of us thought of it to upgrade the account to hold more people. And so that was a huge growing pain. And I was like, okay, good. This is good. My worst fear happened. Not everybody being happy. People are messaging in the Facebook group, can we get in? Can we get in? I'm like, ah. And we survived it. And I actually was coached on a podcast. It's called Life Coach Hotline with Lindsay Mango. She's awesome. And she wanted to coach experts in the field. And she's coaching me, and I was coached on this quantum up level. I was like, I'm in the middle of a quantum leap and I'm freaking out. And what if not everybody's happy? And she said, okay, let's go there. And we went there. We deeply care about our students' experience. We deeply care about our students. We deeply care about their success. So, yeah, it's so normal if you have that fear of like, oh, okay, I want to make sure everything's perfect. It's like the perfectionist and the people pleaser in me comes out. And I just want to make everybody so happy all the time. And the reality is that when you have hundreds and thousands of people in your space, it's impossible. It's literally impossible. And you have to trust that they're exactly where they should be and they're getting exactly what they need. It was a huge lesson.
I think the one other thing I want to share is much time and effort and teamwork went into this complete redesign of the launch. We were still shocked at the pace of some of what happened, like the pace of applications, the pace of enrollment calls. We were not prepared for what happened. We didn't have enough people
Yeah.
to take the admissions calls. We didn't have enough bandwidth, and we really had to, in real time, scale certain things up.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't pretty, it wasn't perfect, it wasn't perfectly planned, and it all worked out.
Mm-hmm. And I think about the next launch and I'm really excited about it because I feel like we have up leveled in so many ways in, systems wise, energy wise, energetically, all of that.
We are so much more prepared for another launch like this,
Yeah.
or more, or
Or
better.
more.
Absolutely. And I do want to echo just something that was really coming through very strongly. It's the imperfections of this recent launch that was like the greatest expander for all of us. And it really allowed us to view some of the gaps and also some of the experiences, like the elevation of the experience that we want to create, not just externally for the students, but also to make our lives a little bit more easier internally as well. Like the organizational chart of sorts has been upgraded to the highest level, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Such a good point. I love that. Everything you're saying, and the only thing that was absolutely perfect were Tessa's graphics. Tessa's design. Perfection. Literal perfection. So grateful.
So you changed everything, and I'm curious what changed inside of you before this launch to actually manifest it, because changing all the things is a strategy, but there's that energy shift, right? So I'm really curious what your answer is and what the team has to say about that.
Ooh, it was definitely a defining moment for me. I was at a retreat and I was in this deep breath work and I was feeling really stuck in just our, plateau. That's what I was calling it. And now I look back on that now and I'm like, that was just preparation, all of it. And I remember really feeling something had to happen from the outside. Like I had to be seen on a larger scale, or be a guest teacher somewhere, or I had to be elevated from the outside. And in this breath work, I remember just crying. And the message was, you are the one you've been waiting for. We've all heard that. We all know that's true about ourselves. And it was just so clear to me. It was like, no, you've got this. You can do this. And it shattered this glass ceiling that I had put there. And everything changed. Like the idea for the webinar came through and an affiliate opportunity came through and just all of these opportunities started popping up and we found the best copywriter. Like all these things just started coming into my reality because I'm the one I've been waiting for. And it just like landed in my body so strongly. And it was just truth. And that was the shift.
That is so beautiful. And I love that it went from this external seeking almost to grounding it like, no, it is fucking me.
Well, on that note, let's close it out here, unless anyone else has anything they want to share on that specifically.
I just wanted to share that what really stood out to me and that I wanted to highlight for the team is that piece about external versus internal.
Yeah.
Regardless of any external factors in this launch, what we did as a team was light years ahead
Yeah.
of any of our previous launch. We are the team we've been looking for. This is the launch we've been looking for. And we created it, and you manifested all the external opportunities that came along with it.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so I just want to say thank you. Thank you to this amazing team. Thank you to each and every one of you for just being here and being willing to kind of share this and share your insights and be vulnerable with me and kind of just give a really good perspective of behind the scenes of $1 million launch. And I love you all so much. So grateful for each and every one of you and the contribution that you bring to this team, but also the ripple effect that we're creating together in the world because it's massive. And I think that's a huge driver for all of us, is that we're all very, very focused on the ripple effect and the impact of the work that we do at every level, whether you're editing a podcast or you're designing something, there is a ripple to everything that we do, and we recognize that. So thank you all. Love you. Thanks for listening. I hope that you absolutely loved that debrief. My team really is truly so special. They have put their heart and soul into this work, and I'm inspired by them. And I hope that you feel inspired by the things that we shared, the journey that we've been on. And I hope that you feel inspired to learn more and come to the masterclass. Come to the $1 Million Launch Masterclass, where I will go even deeper behind the scenes into the strategy that we used. I will be sharing my funnel, showing you things behind the scenes. I will also be talking about the energy and helping you raise your capacity to hold more, as well as do a Q&A to answer all of your questions. So we've got a lot to cover, a lot more in store. And if you want to get your ticket right now to the masterclass, just hit the link below and grab your spot now. And you can also do it in my Instagram bio, and the price will go up to $150 on Friday. So make sure you get it before then. And if it's Friday, you can still click the link if you're listening to this and get your ticket now. Okay, I hope that you have the best day. Thank you so much for tuning in as always. And I'm sending you so much love. Keep being the deliberate, powerful creator that you are, and being a badass manifester.
Woo! We did some work today. Thank you so much for listening. You know I love my BAM fam. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who you know would love it too, because we live for the ripple effect over here. And how can you best support the show? Make sure you're subscribed, hit the 5 stars, and leave a review on iTunes, and let me know how the podcast has impacted you. I love being part of your real-time journey, so screenshot the episode and tag me and my guests on Instagram at ManifestWithAsh. Now say it with me. I am my own power source. I am the master of my own energy, and I deserve everything that I desire. We don't just talk about it over here, we be about it. Now go get 'em.